I've been hunting for buck for the last like 3 hours. Please let me.
Hello there.
Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name's Dahlia, and today we are back on Tumbleweed, which is my ghost town Western Island, working on a second build. I'm really excited for today because this is a build that I knew immediately starting this island that I wanted to make, and of course I had to go villager hunting for a particular villager that you guys saw moment ago in order to make this video possible. Thankfully, I did find Buck, who is the villager in question. And yeah, so I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me out more than you know just by liking today's video. Become a member if you would like to support my channel. Linked all the information for that is in the description. And yeah, I really hope you guys enjoy. And without further ado, let's head over to the area we'll be working on today. So we're continuing the build from my entrance, which was the last video. Here is Buck in the plaza, looking so adorable. I love him. If you guys didn't know, Buck is one of my favorite characters in the game. He's my, it was my OG jock villager on my first ever island, so he has a very special place in my heart, and I've always wanted to have him as an actual villager on the island, so I'm very excited that I get the chance to have him today. Obviously he is a horse villager, and I'm doing a Western Island, and it's only fitting that I do a ranch style build, so that is what today's video is going to be. Like I said, we're extending from the entrance, so this is going to be on the left side of my plaza, and I'm starting by putting down some dirt. I don't see myself using in-game pathing very much on this island. A part of me did have that momentary thought of like, oh, should I do sand? Because it's like a western desert, but I didn't like it. I didn't like the thought of having to do that. So I decided not to. So I quickly customized this house. I do end up changing this again later on to the darker brown scaffolding for like the front of the house. But for right now, I did use the upper brown, lighter brown color and kept it very simple. Every villager's home is going to be customized in this kind of fashion, I'm sure. And in addition to that, I will be actually decorating the interiors of all my villagers' homes as well. That is probably going to be a video entirely of itself of me decorating every single interior, which I typically don't do. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. So I put the dirt down, like I said, and I did end up extending the area just a little bit to make this section kind of work for what I had planned. So like I said, this is going to be a kind of like horse ranch essentially. So what I want to do is have Buck's house be kind of the focal point, and then I'm going to be creating kind of like a barn within the, like his house in the middle, and then the barn kind of like on either side. And it's essentially going to be like a giant barn, but with Buck's house as the center portion.
You're repeating yourself, you know that? You're repeating yourself.
You're repeating yourself. You're repeating yourself.
And like I said, because I'm going to be decorating the interiors of all of my villagers' homes, the interior of his house will most likely be like a barn interior, which I'm very excited to try to make possible. It's going to be fun to experiment with. So I am using the gazebo item. I feel like this matches perfectly with the roof of Buck's house, and also just makes it kind of like look like a genuine barn, I suppose. And then I am placing down a small little deck. Now, this is a deck that I did download when we did our planning for the island, and I was downloading all of my custom designs. This does have a variation of a bunch of little broken bits. This is meant to be a ghost town, so everything is in disarray, everything is run down. And this is a very fun custom design that I'm very excited to experiment with. You don't really see the details in the actual deck once I put all the items down, because I do use storefronts and then also some symbol panels to make it look like an actual horse horse barn, you know. But it's still really cute, and I'm excited to experiment with it in the future, and I'm glad that I decided to use it today because I like the darkness that the color brought and like matched with everything. So for the symbol panels, I did use 2 variations of the horse symbol panels, and then also kind of like a barn door symbol panel as well. And I do have a lot of fun with this build because I experiment with symbol panel placement that I traditionally don't really ever do. Symbol panels are always been a part of builds I've done because I do use a lot of symbol panels on various builds, fake buildings, to make like something look more urban or whatever. But this one I really do experiment with the placement of them, and I also use the short symbol panels, which I have never really used in any build before. So it's been fun to experiment with different types of custom design on my symbol panels, as well as like the placement of the symbol panels. And you know, it's kind of just like, at this point we've been playing this game for like, what, 4 years? So finding different ways to include items or decorate with items is a way to make it more fun, I guess. So here I am putting the symbol panels, the mini ones, down. Like I said, it covered up the bottom half of the horse design, which I think makes it look a little bit more realistic, and honestly brings kind of like a stall feel to it, if you know what I mean. So now I'm just kind of going around and placing items down. I wanted this to be obviously like a ranch with like hay and weeds, and as you see, I did place the custom designs down for the pathing, and I did abruptly obviously cut it off in the corners. As you can see, this will be extending to probably like a canyon type of area, which is why later on I do end up building up the cliffs behind this section to kind of give the area behind it more height and kind of enclose this space a little bit. Now, if you haven't watched the first video I made for this island, I made my entrance video, and I did explain in that video that I was probably not going to be showing off a lot of the cliff decorating on this island, because essentially what I'm going to be doing is, this is going to be a flat island. I'm not going to be using inclines. There's not going to be any builds happening on second and third cliffs, but I will be building cliffs, and I'll be building cliffs in order to create height for the spaces and also to make canyon-like areas. As you can see in front of me, I'll be using termite mounds, cactuses.
I just took a late night trip to Walmart. Turns out and then I spend my money on stupid shit.
Weeds to kind of give this illusion of like big cliffs and canyons in this ghost western town. But a lot of the placement of the items on the cliffs do take me a long time because I'm placing upwards of dozens and dozens of termite mounds, and it's not something I really feel like you guys need to see. So if you are curious about how I will go about placing these items, I do have a kind of like a step-by-step kind of showing how I do it in the entrance video of this island. I do show a little bit at the latter portion of this video simply because one thing I really want to do is create second and third cliffs that just have the termite mounds along the entirety of the cliffs, kind of like this picture here, which I'll show you guys is kind of like the inspo for the placement of these things. But you guys don't need to see me do that. It's boring to watch. It's boring for me to have to edit.
This is so boring.
And it's not something that's like beneficial, realistically. Like, I'm perfectly comfortable and happy to show you guys how to build these kinds of things, but does anyone need to see 10 minutes of footage of me placing items on cliffs? No, they don't. No, they don't. It's very similar to like my jungle island when I had a lot of trees and fake trees to put down. I cut a lot of that footage up because you guys really didn't need to see it.
Please stop talking.
Okay. But yeah, I'm just placing items down in the area, as you guys can see. Someone did recommend I use the cow skull item as like a cow skull in the fields. So thank you so much whoever commented that in my previous video, because it looks so cool because it looks like a cow a cow skull that you would see in like a Western picture, you know? I don't know. So I'm basically finished the actual decorating portion of the ranch, and I've moved on to building up the cliffs. Like I said, you guys don't need to see a full showcase of me building the cliffs, but the cliffs are kind of like something I'm going to be manipulating and kind of working around. Like I said, this area to the left is probably going to branch off into like a canyon of some kind, so I kind of started the cliffs off. It's probably going to be like a diagonal kind of canyon where you kind of just follow the path and the trail. So I started off with a very small cliff right here, just to kind of first of all give kind of like backdrop to the build itself, and also to kind of kickstart what's most likely going to be my next build on this island. In a previous video, I also said that I was going to be doing a quick little kind of mood board video where I showcase all of the villagers I'm going to have on this island, and then all of their roles and what their houses are going to be, kind of like in terms of like how they're going to fit into the western town. I'm still planning on doing that. Obviously, you know, Buck is now going to be an official villager. I also do have Biff and I have Fauna on the island already. I'm going to have both of them be permanent villagers. And as I was hunting for Buck, I actually found Gaston, who I wanted to be the sheriff on the island. He is the bunny with the little mustache, so he's going to be a permanent villager as well. But one thing I really want to do is kind of do like a little mood boarding discussion where I kind of talk about what every villager's role and what their builds are going to be, because I do want this island to be fairly planned out, which I traditionally do not do when it comes to my islands. I typically go in and then we kind of just build as we go. I'm very much a build as we go kind of person when it comes to Animal Crossing, but I wanted to be a little bit more deliberate with the planning of this particular island, as it is more themed than my traditional kind of islands, you know? So as I've been explaining this, I've been placing the cliffs. As I said, I showcased it a little bit, and this is the double cliff that I was talking about a couple minutes ago, where you kind of basically have like one strip of land with a bunch of vines and then the termite mounds up against it, and then the second cliff will just have a ton of termite mounds up against it as well. I feel like it gives so much depth to the builds. This is also placed directly behind my plaza and Buck's ranch, so it just, I don't know, it adds so much height. If you saw my previous entrance video, you'll see that I am setting this dream address to a foggy atmosphere, so you get like the shadows of the termite mounds and the cactuses and the cliffs in the distance, and I think it looks really beautiful. You'll see that in the final walkthrough of the build. But yeah, that's essentially it. I finished doing the cliffs. I do leave them a little bit unfinished just because I'm not sure exactly what I'll be doing behind here, but that's essentially what the cliffs look like. And I really like how the cliffs look behind res services. I didn't want res services to be kind of feel very enclosed, because it is a big building, and I kind of want to dwarf it a little bit if I can, to make it look a little bit smaller, with a ton of big cliffs around it. So I'm very, very pleased with how that turned out. But yeah, I quickly time traveled to early morning with the fog, and I'm very, very pleased with the final results. So I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video as well. Thank you so much for hanging out with me as I continue to decorate this island. I'm really loving it so far, and I'm having a lot of fun coming up with these builds, so I hope that you enjoyed them as well. So if you did, make sure to like and comment. It helps me out so much by liking today's video. If you enjoyed, you can also subscribe if you haven't already, and become a member if you would like to support my channel and my content further. Link to all of that is in the description of the video. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!